Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to CRL. Welcome to the penultimate round of the series. Of course, you join myself, Ben Sapsford, aka Sapitron, and then we also have Zabi in the commentary box. Welcome, friend. How are we doing?
Okay, doing all good. Excited for the Brazilian Grand Prix. On to the qualifying session we go.
Yep, so we're about to jump into qualifying, but of course, a rerun and a run down. So we had Spa, and now we are on to the penultimate round here at Brazil. So just tonight, and then it's the final of the championship. So much to look forward to, and then 2 weeks, we wrap this thing up. Looking at the standings quickly, we have 2 wins coming from Pel 11 and a fastest lap combining to make 127 points. Quite the margin to the likes of Zero, Shinobi, Magic Blood, and El Dominici, who have all sort of got much further down in terms of points, but they do still have some chances, maybe not to go for the very top, but certainly to make themselves known at the podium position. So you can see, of course, on screen, we do have some omissions as well, drivers who aren't going to be making it tonight. Kronk, curiously enough, considering this is his league, being one of them, but apparently he is having some issues with the game. So unfortunate to see that he won't be joining us tonight, but as always, wish him all the best in getting the game back up and running, and hopefully he'll be able to join us for the final run. But looking to the second half of the standings, of course, you've got P11 through to P20 here, and we've got 10 drivers who are going to be joining us out on track. So this does mean there might be a chance. Let's take a look at, for example, Vintage Control. They've got 2 points to their name. They've had 3 events, and provided they can get to the end, just a couple of points, just a few crucial points, could slingshot them up in those standings.
Absolutely.
Here we are then. Alright, so we are going to be, of course, jumping into Interlagos. It's 4.3 kilometers, 2.7 miles, 15 corners, and then, of course, there is the pedigree of the circuit. The track steeped in history, but we aren't going to be wasting any more time, folks, because we have got ourselves a qualifying session to look at right now. We have Ecor being the first car out on this course. And in fact, actually, no, we might be having a car that's a bit further ahead. It's the Mercedes McCarry 20. They are going to be the first car to push themselves out for the first quali lap of the session.
Certainly, just through the finish line onto turn 1 now. On the medium tire, actually, that is interesting to see. It is short qualifying, so just not wasting any soft tires on the first run, making it through on the medium tire to probably get this process and the first run to see how they stand, where they stand, and just at the end of the first sector, that is going to be 17.6. We'll have to see how good is that just probably as we get to the end of the lap. So just seeing the Mercedes driver pushing it all through the circuit now, really giving it everything here in that qualifying session. The first one that we'll see to be having their lap time out on board at the moment. We're getting a nice little shot of the car. He's just taking it smoothly, just in the middle sector, taking it fine. Oh, and that's a spin. That's just a lose of the rear end, and that is going to be a spin that's almost a half a spin, not even a full spin, but that is going to be time up for him. Now onto a car now. He's just going to move past moving past the Mercedes now in the Alpine. He's going smooth though, just ahead of him. The Mercedes spun, so that might have been some concentration lost, but he's going it smooth so far. We'll have to see how good he's done at the end of the lap. Obviously, he's on the soft tires, so definitely he's going to have that full swing on the performance, but he's not coming to the pits. That was close to the pit line, but across that finish line, that is going to be P1 and 108.2 for a core in the Alpine.
Yep, first runs out, and now everyone is going to be on that course, getting some runs on that board. I've got Silent Rogue, who's going to be the next wave and part of the second set of drivers who went on an outlap a little bit later than the rest of the field. You've got a 108.2 to beat Shinobi, barely within a second of that with 109.3. Win 86.39 with an 11.690, and then McCarry, of course, having that spin out, having to recover, got a 127, but we know for a fact that is going to be dropping down by session's end. Now, Silent Rogue coming up to the line, keeping it narrow, stick to the left side as much as possible, minimize the action line, And there you go, a 10.4. That's going to put them on the second row. P11, 108.199, though, is going to pip by 18 milliseconds. That Alpine is going to take the pole at least for now. But we still got a few more cars who are making their way through. Vintage Control. That's going to be the Aston Martin now on the field. Let's see what they can make of this one. It's going to be a solid run here. 11.3. Meanwhile, Magic Blood, 109.843. They have very much got the pace on tap. They proved that they can do it. And then DMagi 12 are going to be getting what looks to be a little bit of either traffic or a bit of a slipstream from the teammate. There you go. You can see they are going to be peeling further off the circuit in order to not impede. Had a little bit of toe potentially down Richard Aposta, but not quite able to get that gap fully closed. But either way, we will see as we head to the end of Sector 2. Times are looking very solid here for Magi 12 to 52.1. Now this is going to put them on some firm footing, keep them in very good pace, very good spirits with the rest of the field. And let's see what they can do as they come up to the line. Final dash, final stretch, and then final time to be set on this board. It's a 109.2. So the Ferraris are P1 and P4 right now. Solid row.
Absolutely, Ferraris. Both of them are cooking at the moment. One P1 and the other P4 at the moment. At times, the quickest from Pearl 11, P108.199. Almost 108.2, but surely others behind on the second runs would improve. And at the moment, Mercedes going around on that medium tire still. How quick is he going to be? I think he might be able to improve, but he won't be, though he still put a lap time good enough. It is only 8 of the drivers, 10 of the drivers in the session, still doing good, recent good enough job though, but definitely would need that soft tire to the end as we are looking at Mag now. D-Mag going very wide there. Maybe, definitely there is no car behind him, so definitely that was a bit of a mistake.
Yeah, he's on his cool-down lap now. He's had his run, and now he's just making his way back to the pits to prep for the next one, which gives an opportunity for the likes of Egor and Zero as well, another driver that we have had our eyes on over the course of this championship as a strong contender in the Haas right now, and looking to maybe make a little bit of a statement out there on track. A second away from the pole position, but we know that they have that pace in them. We've seen it before.
Absolutely. In the end, when that pace lines up, that at the end of the qualifying session, when it's just a minute remaining or even less, or they're on those final laps before the ending lines, and that's when we see their actual pace. That's when they're pushing to the limit and to the line, giving it everything. Obviously, every lap is important, but the ones that towards the end, you really want that those to be perfect. No traffic on those, staying to the left again, across that finish line now, starting into turn 1. He's going to go currently P5 at the moment, the Haas driver, taking it smooth into the center S's. He's going to go onto the DRS straight now. Just now is going to be the DRS actuated, going smooth through the first sector. How is he going to be able to do? Just coming to the finish of it. That is going to be 8400, slower than his previous lap time. Just on board with him now, taking a great shot of his lap though, but sure, it doesn't mean if he hasn't improved in the first sector, he might not in the second as well. And there is the same Mercedes, I think. Another, he's just getting out of the way. That's not a spin for him. He's just on a cool down lap. Having to probably, he's going to maybe pit if he hasn't done so to fit those soft tires. But we're having a look at the Haas now. A little lockup on the right-hand side there. Having a bit of a smoke coming out of those tires, taking some tire life out of it. But sure, taking it fine so far. And again, now exactly what I said. That it doesn't mean if you don't improve in the first one, doesn't mean you won't do that till the end of the lap as well. But it improves over to almost about 3/10 in the first sector, or in the middle sector. What about him now towards the end of the lap? That is going to be still P3. Does improve over 7.5 tenths, but Accord goes back on pole position, takes it back from Pearl 11 in the Ferrari, 108.069.
Quality work there from the Alpine and the Haas alike. They're going to be P1 and P3 as we make our way through here. Next one to watch is, of course, Shinobi. They have been a driver who has proven themselves to be a formidable force out on the track. And we'll, of course, keep an eye on them as this series runs. They're on the medium tyre right now, which is certainly a bizarre choice in my opinion. They have got, of course, the soft walls, the red wall tyres that they can be leveraging potentially, but each to their own. We've got a couple more cars now starting their runs at the same time. We've got Vintage Control and we've got Win all both heading their way down. Let's see the kind of sector times that we'll be expecting from them. 17.873 from Win right now. That is going to put them fairly adrift of the rest of the field in terms of timings, but we will still see them pushing nonetheless. Going down to the more complex second sector, lot of undulation, lot of change in camber, altitude, and it does make your car behave a little bit differently to maybe you're used to. Either way, coming down to the end of Sector 2, it's looking at fairly quick, about half a second down though on Win's previous. That is a little bit of a worry, but they are keeping the car tightly controlled. We're not seeing much of any instability, but they're not necessarily pushing to the absolute limit either. In fact, going all the way out to the edge of the track, as they only get a 12.1. Can the Aston Martin do any better here as they come up to the line? Let's see. It is going to be an 11.696. So, in fact, slower than Win's original fastest time, and that means that the others are going to have an opportunity. Like Magic Blood, who has got a couple of tenths down, if they can keep their head in the game on this, they could put themselves into the top 5.
Yeah, definitely. He's not far away from that top 5 timings. Obviously, he's got 109.8, but sure, he can improve on those brand new tyres at the end of the lap. That is, remember, I think that was an out lap, so now just begins their flying lap. Oh, that was a push, okay. That was just not much improvement. Still just less, a bit more than half a tenth, but fine one. I think they're definitely going to improve as we go towards the end. Get those new tyres in, and now looking at Pearl 11 back again, just in the middle section, catching up to them as the Alpine gets side them now. They're definitely pushing all they can, obviously, to regain that pole position. They might be able to do that, almost 2.5 tenths better than their previous lap time, but how good are they going to be able to do? Will they be good enough for their for pole position? We'll have to see, as they're just getting across the line now, and that will be pole position. 107.9s, and our first driver to go into the 107s now. Definitely these benchmarks and these qualifying times getting better and better as we get towards the end of it. Still got about, and that is a little moment for the other Ferrari, almost invalidating it as we're going back to Harry now. On the Mercedes is finally on those soft tires now, after putting many laps on those medium compound tires. Now having those soft tires, having more grip and better, that they would want to have a better time on. Still 110.9, but I think at least 5 to 6 tenths of the tire difference that it makes. And there you go, we can already see that, as he's about 4 tenths quicker than his previous lap time in the middle, at the end of the middle sector. But how fast is that going to be coming towards the finish line now? Just got that DRS zone to go activated, rear wing open, and across that line, how much faster he's going to be able to go? And that will be not that fastest. Surely he was improving more than 4 tenths in the middle sector, but at the end of it, only about 1.8 tenths.
As an improvement, but not enough to make an improvement on a position, which leaves the gate open for a couple of other drivers to maybe push those boundaries. We've got Maggi coming up to the line. They've managed to get down to a 0.208, but again, that's not going to be enough to put them on that second row. A couple of other cars are going to be trying their luck as well, Zero being one of them. They are currently about a quarter of a second up, and if they keep this up in terms of improvements, although they've dropped time in Sector 2, they could put a little bit of pressure and a little bit of a threat down on the Alpine and the Ferrari in that front row. Let's see what the Haas can do here. We come up to the line finally, and they are going to be giving it 110%. You can see them bashing the limiter and the wind clipping past all of those individual fence barriers. But a 0.373 is going to get them closer to the leaders, but not quite in a position to surpass them. Silent Rogue being in much of a similar position. They just did a run, and it was not enough to make that big upward swing that they were maybe looking for. We're starting to see, as we get to these final 5 minutes, we're seeing drivers who are improving, yes, but not enough to actually make substantial headway in that leaderboard.
Absolutely, and that shows the competition and how close it is at the moment. As you see a couple of drivers improve, get themselves a bit of a better time out on track, but not able to move up the position, especially as we saw the Mercedes and Silent Rogue improving their times, but not really moving up the grid at all. As Shinobi now on an out lap, currently with a time of 109.1. Surely would like to improve, not far away from the leaders though, still needs about 7 to 8 tenths or even more, but sure can push and get himself a bit closer to P3. And even in his case, if he's surely able to find some improvement, he can, but he's far away from P3 as well. But we'll see how good he's going to be able to do. He's surely going to has to get out of his way. That does, as they get onto the pits now. Going to be starting their flank lap would be Shinobi into turn 1 now. They're going to surely try and take these smooth through the S's as the car ahead already gets out of the way. They definitely would be looking to improve. We saw them come out on the medium tire, but now this is soft as the Alpine. That is... it is the Alpine, and they're going to collide just coming out of the pits. That was some impeding from the Alpine done, and that is definitely not going to be what Shinobi wanted, and that has to be a penalty coming the Alpine driver's way. I can't see any way of him out of this. This was some mismanagement, and I think he did not check his mirrors at all.
That's brutal for Shinobi there, because that might have been his last viable chance. You can see he's retired out of the sessions. That frustrated with what just went down that he's not even going to entertain the notion of another go. And I'd be just as annoyed in his position. I understand. If you are on a good run and you see the Alpine sweep out like that, then you are talking serious trouble there. So Acor is going to be the car in question and did have that contact, but looks like they might not be going out again. Yeah, they are going to be going into the pits, because of course their car by this point is going to have that damage and it's not going to be viable to run in a scenario like this, which leaves the likes of Magic Blood, Pel 11 and a few others who need to decide whether they're coming out of the pits or not for another final run. Magic Blood looking a little bit faster from their first sector time, if that's anything to go by. 0.185 was their previous best, and now a sector 2 that links up and gets some good speed down. A little bit of skittishness coming out from that McLaren. They need to get this lap in and on the books. Just half a second is quite a gap, and looks like they have dropped time, in fact, so they're not going to be walking away with that lap as of today. I don't know if they're going to be able to go again. They might just run it a little bit too close with the pit timings. Let's see though if they are able to cross that finish line in time, or if it's going to be too late.
In the pits, now Pearl 11, he's improving 6500ths on his first at the end of his first sector at least. But what about the middle sector one? And that is a decent improvement as well, definitely with the core in the pits. He doesn't seem to have any challenger unless Zero could challenge him. But how far does he go up from those guys? How far does he make his position even a bit better and a bit clear that he would be staying out on pole? And sure he will be. That is a huge improvement to say the least. Coming out how his times were at the end of the middle sector. That is going to be 107.7, and now Harry the Mercedes, apologies for pronouncing his name, but he's currently P7 at the moment. Sure, with Magic Blood not really finding that improvement coming to the pits, and then the Ferrari out there, currently 109.2, but Shinobi retiring as well, and I think he has a proper chance. He has a very good chance of going up the order if he improves by at least half a second or even a little more. He surely would need time, but if he is able to get that, he might just end up bringing himself inside that top 4 or top 5, which he has a very good chance of. But at least at the end of the previous soft tire run, we didn't see him improving that much though. Surely improved by time, but not that much by position. But we'll have to see. He's only got a few more corners to go, but how good he's doing at the end of the middle sector, he's not at all. He's down almost 2.5 tenths, just a little less than that. But sure, he's down on his previous lap time, but how good is he going to be able to go, as almost all of the drivers have taken the checkered flag, and it is going to be the Mercedes coming up to the checkered flag as well. But are they able to improve? And they do not improve. I think 10 is 9.8 still stays their time. What about Magi now? And that is going to be for him P5 at the moment, but sure, he's not going to be improving at all. He's an in-lap as well. What about his teammate, Pearl 11, who's also going to come into the pits as well? So that pretty much, ladies and gentlemen, would be it of qualifying now. Pearl 11 in the Ferrari takes pole position ahead of Akora, ahead of Zero, ahead of Shinobi, and ahead of Magi and Magic Blood.
I think we do have, of course, a missed opportunity. We could have seen what Shinobi could get into the .8s for, but unfortunately they did have that collision with the Alpine. And we see a couple of drivers who make their weaknesses known very early on. For instance, we did see Enquiries have a lot of difficulty with Sector 2 in particular. Now, they are a driver who we know has some decent pace because their Sector 1 time was fairly solid. But that Sector 2 is where they drop the most of it. And this is where we're going to see the drivers maybe push a little bit harder in the race and then establish position before they get to that point in order to have a solid race and a solid position, because the only main overtaking opportunities are going to be the likes of Turn 4 and Turn 1, really. You may get a little bit of riskiness through Jun Sao through Turn 12, but that's going to be your fill. But we are going to come to the final standings now.
Yeah, just those overtaking opportunities towards the end of those DRS zones. As you're having a look at this qualifying classification, Pearl 11 in the Ferrari taking pole position ahead of a Kerr, at a 0 ahead of Shinobi, who obviously could not unlock his performance with that contact with the Alpine ahead coming out of the pits. That definitely would have hurted his feelings, but I'm sure as long as he's able to take it smooth and take it avoiding contact, at least with anybody else around, and also in the pits as well, in the race as well with everyone around everybody else, he should be good.
Yep, and we are about to head trackside for the race as well, folks, but important thing to mention, this is the penultimate round, so we are going to see this championship be decided, be potentially settled here and now tonight, as we could be watching these drivers really push to make their own histories, make their own legacies as we head into Kota next time. And then here's a reminder of the standings, because we do have Zero technically, mathematically, still within distance of taking this championship. So this is where this could be tied up and mathematically settled beyond the shadow of a doubt. 127 to 96. That is still 31 points, and that could be the case if Pel 11 crashes out here and Zero really performs high. He might be in an ideal position heading into that final round. But enough of that, as we are about to go trackside, folks. It is 5 red lights. The track is hot here at Brazil for the penultimate round, and immediately it's going to be a strong getaway for Pel 11. It's not going to be any fanciness, any drama from him, as he just wants to get out, get ahead, and get that gapping on the rest of the field. We're already seeing a couple of drivers who are advancing, going up, down positions. Shinobi dropping down to 5th. Magi getting the push up and early. Zero trying to gauge the field at this point. You can see him tucking in and out, with the Magic Blood going very narrow to try and suss out the field and what's going on.
Aggressive, and I think some of them might have hit the 100 meter, those braking boards. That's kind of a debris there was, but Magic Blood now currently P6, making those positions. And Akura, I think we saw a bit of a wheel spin from him at the start. Maybe that contact in qualifying would have shattered his qualifying confidence a little. But Chori's taking it fine so far. Still within half a second of the leader now. But the Shinobi currently P5, dropping down the positions. Going to try and improve ahead, as I think the car of Zero is currently ghosted there for some reason, but sure, he's very close to the Ferrari now, as that is going to be a proper opportunity for Shinobi there, as Matty almost brakes to stop him out there to getting ahead. But sure, he's going to maybe try and move around the outside, but he's not going to go for it or try and any aggressiveness just at the beginning of the race. Having a collision earlier, he definitely has that in mind, that things could go wrong, so he doesn't want to ruin it, at least for himself, his own race so far. But another opportunity with the activation of that DRS, but sure, one man with the activation of that DRS is going to overtake, and that is going to be a call going into the race lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix, just straight away on lap 2.
Immediately taking command, immediately taking charge as soon as they saw an opportunity. Now the Alpine has the advantage here, but with the DRS being open at this point, this means that Pel 11 could very easily go for the retake, could very easily put that pressure down right back on them, and we will see a lot of chopping and changing, certainly for the lead. Meanwhile, in the mid-pack, you see a familiar story. It's Magi and Shinobi. They are going to be very close to one another. Shinobi's going to be peeking around the inside, heading into Junshao, turn 12. That is going to be a bit of a heroic dive, a little bit on the grass, and Magi's going to get a pretty easy switchback on him as we head in through the final sector now. A little bit of diciness, a little bit of drama in that mid-pack. And then back up at the front, Pel 11 is going to exercise that DRS advantage, but they are going to be slightly ahead now, heading through turns 1 and 2 through the Center S and into Reta Aposta. We see our first warning and our first time penalties coming off of said warnings, and then Akor is going to be immediately getting that position back on Pel 11 through the second DRS zone.
Absolutely, I think DRS really crucial now, taking moves, and now around the outside, another in the mid-pack, having Magi currently P5 just sitting behind Shinobi. Shinobi send a move, a dive bomb move just around this part of the circuit earlier, a little ahead of this than in the final sector indeed, but sure, he's kept the position there. I think Magi had a chance of coming back at him, but that DRS does out, and now win 86.39, currently P9 at the moment, just behind Carry out there ahead of Vintage Control, currently running, I think, the gap just a little more than half a second. I think anything less than half a second, there's a proper opportunity for an overtake, but we'll see how close would they be. Will they be close enough to overtake, or even Carry would have that DRS, but around the outside, once again, the leaders. Akor is going to go around the outside of Pearl 11. Proper chance for him, and he takes the race lead once again. But is he going to have that DRS rear wing open? We'll have to see as we get to the detection point. He will not do so, but the Ferrari will, though. Another chance for him to overtaking back down the inside. He thought for it for a moment. He's going to go for it indeed, but we'll see if he's going to make the move stick. Not quite do, though. They're still wheel to wheel, hanging it around. Just backs out. Does Pearl 11, and I think surely it's a long race, and one wrong move could really end their race, and especially that championship that Pearl 11 is fighting for. And we'll have to say, how good is Akor going to be able to defend? Surely in qualifying you end up getting someone back into the back of his car, but obviously in the race he would not want to do that. He wouldn't want double trouble coming his way. But I think with the DRS and these cars, following these closely to each other, there will be one more opportunity for Akor, one more opportunity for Pearl 11. Our previous lap was for the Alpine, this time it is going to be for the Ferrari. Yeah, he moves to the left-hand side already to try and defend the inside line, but around the outside is going to go Akor, already take the race lead into turn 1 and through the center S's. But that is a huge lockup from him. That might slow him down a little, but that DRS detection point, Akor is behind and within a second, so definitely that DRS activation is going to go to him now. Just they're getting closer again and again, getting closer just into turn corner. He's not going to be able to really make that move or even try for it. I mean, he knows it. He knows the importance. Even if he overtakes around there, he's going to get overtaken back. So moreover, try and follow the car ahead and stay in their DRS as long as you can. And as comes the time towards the end of the race, try and make those overtakes, and another bit of smoke we see from one of these cars.
Yeah, well, there's a little bit of locking up as drivers are continuing to push and just trying to get a gap out ahead. You're noticing now majority of the field is split by at least 1 second or more. The only drivers who are within striking distance to one another, as we see if there's an incident out back, that's Vintage Control going off track out of the exit of turn 8, I believe. Now they are going to be, of course, dropping down, but simultaneously you see Win having a problem of their own and giving the position to Silent Rogue. Akor and Pel 11 are the only two drivers who are actually racing between each other, fighting for those same spots, which means they need to be very careful. If they get marooned from one another, there's going to be no chance for recourse, no chance for a retake of that position, because the nearest drivers are going to be 2+ seconds away. And big slide coming there from Pel 11 as we come out of the exit Reta Aposta and through turn 4. Very big wobble. That's going to now put them in the crosshairs of Zero, who's second in the championship and looking for some easy points.
Absolutely, and I think that might be something done for Pearl 11 there now. Just the gap coming down back to a little less than half a second now, but sure, that mistake is going to bring their confidence down, bring their tires a bit slide of those tires, maybe going to give some tire wear to them as well. As Zero now just 1.4 seconds. Surely he's going to push all out he can on those hard tires, obviously going a bit longer than those medium runners, and that is an incident at the back of the field with Win 89, and through goes the Aston Martin of Vintage Control, and another spin as he comes out of the grass. Definitely those soft tires not having the grip or temperature, and down the inside once again Akor is going to go for it, and definitely that Pearl 11's incident earlier didn't affect at all. He's back to close to the leaders now, and now around the outside is going to have a look. He almost goes on the grass, so just comes back on the track. Before it was the grass, but who's going to be late on the brakes as we go? That is almost equal, both of them now, wheel to wheel running they are around the outside. Just a bit more traction and a bit more grip for the Ferrari to go ahead. But now Zero is just within striking distance, almost within with DRS. It's going to be, we'll have to see if he's close enough though, but he's within 1 second at least for time being, and sure, he's taking it really good in that opportunity, and those fightings, of course, those D-Stop 2 fighting is going to be losing them a bit of time, of course, slowing down, and now Zero has to take this opportunity. Moreover, just stay behind these guys for time being, save his tires, but as soon as those medium tires run off and run out of grip, those hard tires could come to life, and his chance of attacking those guys could be on. But how long that's going to be, I think that is more than 1 second. He might not get that DRS. Not sure of the Alpine of the core. Is he going to go for that move? He might not be close enough, or will he be close enough? He's going to go down the inside of the Ferrari. Oh, that was really close, and another lockup for Pearl 11. I think he's really giving it everything to lock up and to just get out of that one corner or the other just quicker than the other driver. But sure, he's going to get that DRS, and of course, backlight is flashing, but a fantastic defensive move is really going to let him keep his position there, and by goes Pearl 11. That was some pushings from a core there. He really pushing out everything out, giving it everything out there, and elbows out for him. He's really doing everything to not let Pearl 11 through there.
Yeah, that looked a little bit dicey in my opinion, just coming out and of course sweeping to one side. They did make contact, and that's part of why Pearl 11 went off track in that instance. Zero, though, doing a very good job of keeping these two within arm's length. Now, notice how he's on the hard tyres, though. Everyone else is on either the mediums or the softs. Heck, McHarry has already swapped compounds onto a set of the medium tyres, which they're going to be taking at least for the majority of the race, and then maybe switch to another set of softs for the end. But Zero is on the hards, and now within that DRS zone and distance, which means they can try and recover a little bit of their battery. Their battery is very close to empty, as was Acor's, and then you've got Pel 11, who's been much more conservative, who's kept this fight tough, but still has a full tank. And this is where Pel 11 might start to bear the teeth a little bit more. They have the full battery, they have the logistical advantage in terms of resource, and now they're in a position to use it. They just need to pick the right time.
Absolutely, and surely they could just overtake and try and pull away from Kura out there. I mean, you're talking about Zero being on the hard tire. Maybe there's a proper chance for him to keep up with these guys, or even go a little longer on that hard tire, and towards the end there could be an alternative soft tire strategy towards the last few ending laps. If he's just able to push that hard tire, or even medium towards the end of the race, would be better than those on the starting on the medium. Probably would go for that hard tire option. So surely towards the end of the race, I think Zero's strategy, we're going to have to see who's done it better and who's got the better strategy out there. But one more time for Pearl 11, there is a chance to overtake. Is he going to use his is he going to use his ERS to try and overtake him? But he doesn't really need quite that DRS to overtake, as into one they're going to go really close once again to contact. These guys are really banging wheels, banging cars to each other now. Once again around the outside of him, he's not backing out at all. Surely Ikura is doing everything again, almost pushing him right there. I mean, he's really not leaving any space for him to overtake, but sure, that isn't enough for Player 11. He's going to overtake him anyways and get back into the race lead. Sure, Zero now has fallen behind over 4 seconds, maybe slow down, or he's made a bit of a mistake, or just now conserving his tires and saving a bit to get to his pit strategy window. We'll get to see what he does. So, but sure, for time being, a gap back to 4 seconds to him now. He's got maybe a bit of a mistake, could have been the reason of or a lockup, or just having to slow down a little, so stay away from that fight and maybe not get himself out from those guys wheel banging out there.
We did have a couple of yellow flags popping in some of the sectors, so that could have been Zero, or it could have been any other car. Now we do see some drivers who are much further back. Meanwhile, Shinobi and Diamagi have been fighting a little bit, and now Shinobi, while ahead, is 7.5 seconds away. So they have got a lot of work to do if they want to get themselves back up to the front runners. Now you've got another yellow popping in Sector 2. That's going to be from Vintage Control. Very rough. coming through turn 9 there, coming out turn 8, and a bit of an issue. And I think we're starting to see the soft tyres really let go at this point. They are very much being nursed around this course, and they are not looking like an optimal compound anymore by any stretch of the imagination. The drivers are very much struggling, and we're starting to see those mistakes become more and more prevalent.
Absolutely, you're surely correct about that. Those soft tires obviously not lasting more than 7 to 8 laps really in their optimal condition, but obviously going to 10 or more laps is definitely going to be more and more struggles for those drivers, but not too long before maybe these medium tires also show their colors and get those compounds grip less and less. But sure, we'll see what is the crew going to be able to show. These guys are giving it everything, and down the inside, he thought for a moment there once again. I think again locking up for Pearl 11. I think he's locking up almost every corner that I'm looking at it, but sure, he's taking those tires, doing everything. I think that front left might be done for him, but obviously we do not have those tire wears from these cars. But I think sure, not many laps before not only the soft tires but the medium tires tire runners choose to pit, as well as win. 86.39 just gets and he's retired from the race. He might have hit the wall. He's retired out on track. That is a bit strange, or maybe I don't think that is under the rules. If you're really not crashed out but retire without any reason, surely that would be some eyes on him.
Yeah, that is very dangerous there to retire out on track like that. And you saw yourself there, Vintage Control had to take evasive action because their car was slap bang in the middle of the corner, which is not ideal for anyone involved, and that was just asking for an incident. Luckily, quick reactions, even on those aging softs, meant that Vintage Control could keep running for another day. But they are very soon set to head into the pits. They're the only driver still out on their original softs from the start of the race, now 11 laps old, and even the other cars like Magic Blood and Silent Rogue have gone onto a different compound. So Magic Blood has opted for the mediums. They've managed to stretch themselves out enough on those ailing softs to the point where they will now be able to take the mediums to the end of the race. Magi, meanwhile, has got a 10-second penalty on top of their 3-second penalty for track limit warnings for speeding in the pit lane. So this is going to be a retirement from them in the pit lane, and that is going to make 2 retirees out in this session. Of course, 13 seconds of penalties, very hard to peel yourself back from. Although, looking at the gapping in the field, I wouldn't be so quick to retire like they did, because that could have been recoverable, or at least some decent points if they just made it to the end.
Definitely. I mean, surely even a safety car could help, or even without that, you could go in the pits and pay that penalty and get back out on track, and there's always a chance to recover. And obviously there being only 10 drivers in this race, just if you finish, you should be getting any points at least. You won't go, and both of them go into the pits at the exact same time, and that looks, and that is a penalty for 4. They both getting those penalties, and that was really quick as they went in the pits. That was some action coming for those guys, and definitely that is showing around as Zero now takes the lead of the race now as Akor goes onto the soft tire. But what has Pearl 11 opted for? He's opted for the hard tire, and that is going to be alternative strategies, different strategies. We'll have to see what they can. I think Zero, if he's able to stretch out a few more laps on those hards, could be the soft tire on his car, and that probably will give him the best opportunities to push to the end on that soft compound tire. But is that going to be the good decision? I think for the first few laps, Akor is going to be good, but for how long though? Because obviously those soft tires not going any longer than 10 laps, and definitely they start to get worse and worse in terms of grip towards the ending of that timeline. But what about Zero now, just making his way towards the end of the middle sector now? Has a chance closing in on the pit entry, on the pit entry line, has a chance to pit out, or is he going to continue out on track? We'll just get to know in a moment's time, and surely he's staying around the outside line and onto the closing onto the left, but sure stays out on track. I think he's doing decent enough times though at the moment, 111.2 or 1.7 it was, but sure he's doing decent now. I think not losing much time though, and that is Akur with a 10-second time penalty. Let's not forget that. Both the leaders properly. Zero has a chance of winning out here, even not being out on track ahead of these guys. There's a big chance for him to win without even being in the lead of the race.
Yeah, Zero's got a golden opportunity here. They can get themselves the win of the race just by keeping their head down, not getting any penalties, running in this clean air for a few more laps, and then running on the softs till the end. This is where they could get those crucial points that they need to put themselves into this championship fight properly heading into the final round. Remember, 31 points split themselves and Pel 11. They could bring that down to 21 if the current standings hold, and that will be enough to mathematically keep them in the championship fight all the way to the end here, especially if they can get something like fastest lap. But they have made those upward gains, they have yet to make a stop, and they're going to remain committed to these hards for a little bit more. Pel 11 has dropped about a second between the pit stop windows to Acor, so now they are going to be on those hard tyres, where Acor is going to be on the softs. I think he's relying on those hards carrying more consistent pace to the end of the race distance, rather than Acor, who's trying to get that early gapping, but will see that tail off by about lap 7.
Absolutely, and surely the soft tyres are going to pretty much push right now, but how far is he going to be able to go, though, because he really needs almost a second a lap to really try and move far away from Pel 11 at this point. Also, not only from him, but then get ahead of Zero as well, put a gap up to him as well. But I think if Zero opts for an soft tyre pit strategy, sure, he has a chance to do so. Still about 9.7 seconds to Akur, but sure, I think that gap is coming down again and again. But 1.5 seconds between Akur and Pel 11, the net race leader of the race so far. Sure, he's improving his time, but I think he would want to do that rapidly. Only 4,500 quicker in that middle sector, though. Not as much as he would want. Surely as now, Zero's into the pits. What tire is he going to opt for? We'll have to see when he comes out of the pits. But now that gap still saying 1.5 seconds, and surely that is improving. But I think if that gap stays just by that and within 2 seconds, there's going to be a good enough chance for Pel 11 to catch back up when those soft tires really run out of grip and out of that tire wear that he needs to really pull away. But for how long that's going to be on those soft tires. And now Zero comes out of the pits in P3, but just ahead of the Aston Martin. I think that is a lapped car that is not in their race, and about 8.9 seconds. He probably has a push to the end opportunity to really try and catch up to Pel 11. Surely they've got the penalty as well. He's currently at the moment really winning it, but for how long, and is he going to be able to keep it within 10 seconds of these guys? I think surely he has the opportunity from all these drivers to try and push to the end of the race, really having done 3 laps on those tires. Now I think Zero's tires are probably going to be his life, his saving now. I think surely he's going to try and get closer to these guys. Definitely he's got the gap within 10 seconds, but definitely I think doing it out on track really feels a lot better. But sure, I think we wouldn't care about that. We would rather care about winning and finishing on that top step. Anyhow he does it, he will take it out, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, the current gap he's sitting at means that he will get P2, but he won't get P1. He needs to close at least half a second more to get himself into that golden zone. And he needs to keep his head down and make sure he doesn't overdo it. If he makes a single mistake here, he might as well say goodbye to that advantage. He might as well wave it in its entirety. Pel 11 is going to be 2 seconds adrift of Acor, as they are really leaning into those soft tyres, leaning into that grip advantage now. But Pel is still doing an excellent job not to lose too much time, considering they are on the absolute opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to tyre compounds. Those hard tyres are going to have nowhere near the same level of moment-to-moment grip and ability to capture the same levels of speed and keep that car consistent. But this is where the hard tyres are going to come into their own. Once that prime window of the softs expires, then we will see Pel get really into their own and really start to pressure to get that advantage back away from the Alpine. So time will tell. Time is of the essence. We have 6 laps to go, 5 laps on the softs for Pel, and Zero has just come in with a 10.062 to take the fastest lap. So that fastest lap point is just one part of potentially a championship reignition in terms of that fight.
Yeah, definitely. Sure, Pearl 11 coming into the race, a proper chance of ending the championship here, but definitely that is not really going to be happening out here. And Pearl and Zero really getting into that chance and getting into that opportunity of grabbing it. About 31 points gap into this race, but that well could be coming to an end and getting closer and closer to the end. And the final round could be a big opportunity. And that was a little slide on the exit there for Akur, and he's going really wide. And that is the opportunity for Pearl 11 to take back the race late. Surely the soft tire gamble maybe he's coming up to the end now already for Akur. Surely he's only done 5 laps on these, but those tires could come to an end very early if you try and push really hard on those. Maybe he's going to try and recover, but sure, he's got no battery as well. He's really got very little on that dash, and definitely that is going to go from bad to worse at this point for Akur with that penalty, and then into P2 now. Surely opting for a completely different strategy. Might have not been the best option though, but still staying within 1 second. There is a proper chance for him still to stay around, I think, or maybe he's going to try and opt to stay ahead of Zero, try and pull up a gap from him. We'll have to see though at the moment now. Still within 1 second, but I think that is increasing maybe towards the detection point. That gap is going to increase, and sure, that as soon as Akur doesn't have DRS, doesn't have battery, he's surely going to take a few laps to even recharge that. That could be, well, an opportunity for Zero to try and close up as quickly as he can, obviously on those better tires. But as you said, one mistake on those soft tires could really do your race and could really be done and dusted for the Grand Prix.
Yeah, and now with Akur, of course, being 1.5 seconds behind Pel 11, this is the unfortunate reality. When you make a kind of mistake like this, and with the strategy that he's on compared to Pel's, there's very little that he can do to pull this back. Those softs are already going to be out of their prime. He's not even in the DRS anymore to be able to viably counter it. So now all Pel needs to do is bring it home. There is, of course, the factor of having the 10-second penalty that is going to detract from their efforts here, but still, they are going to be leaving absolutely everything on the track. As is Zero, who is going to continue to push regardless. Taking a bit of a highlight, though, to the rest of the field, as we get onto lap 21 or 25, we have Shinobi, who has managed to get past Magic Blood, and is now, with Magi out of the picture, their main sort of rival, they were fighting for 4th and 5th, he's got a bit of his own space. There's not really any other cars around him that he needs to fight with, so he can, like many of the others, just focus on bringing this race home. Magic Blood is having a bit of a similar story, along with Harry, who took a very early switch onto the mediums. It makes me question, are they going to be able to take those mediums all the way to the end? They've satisfied the rules, but I don't know whether that's necessarily viable.
Surely, I mean, those medium tires, 16 laps already. It's already impressive doing many laps on those. But if you look with the gap behind, 4.2 seconds from Silent Rogue on those hard tires. But that won't be too long if he just gets his tires not being good enough. Sure, they would still already be out of grip. But I think a proper opportunity for Silent Rogue to move up to P6. I think one mistake from Carey could make him lose his position already. I think he's keeping it smooth though, still 1.2 to 4.2 to 4.3 seconds gap so far, but now Vintage Control 47 seconds behind. He's just behind Shinobi there, but obviously lapped, and the final car. But I think everybody around besides the top 3 surely just needs to do a job and bring those cars home, knowing that as long as they finish, they are going to be awarded points. So definitely they would want that, as not far away from the end of the race now. On lap 22, that is going to become 23 as Pearl 11 just now moments away from crossing the finish line for the 22nd time in this race now. But already that Akur's winning dreams, winning opportunities, putting the soft tire, I think it was a gamble, almost all or nothing gamble, and I think at the moment it kind of went against him. But we'll see with those penalties, how are these guys going to be doing as well, with Zero only for 5.3 seconds the gap to Akur, and those 3 seconds, 3.7 of Akur to Pearl 11. That is pretty much going to put him still or just within 10 seconds of both the drivers. I think that should be good so far for him.
Oh, Akor's, I think, panicking a little bit. He's dropping time fast. We could see when that brief onboard shot, they were pumping everything into using the battery. As soon as they got it charged, they were dropping it out to the wheels. And the important thing to remember as well is that you get a decrease in power when your battery goes below 10%. So the engine was actually going to be slower. They're actually going to be running slower than if they had just conserved the battery anyway, got themselves out of that sort of danger zone. You can see even the little gauge going red as they burn literally everything they have in the back pocket, and then the car is forced to regenerate energy in order to keep all the electronics and all the systems running efficiently. So 4.6 seconds between Ekor and Pell now, and then 4.5. So the gap has officially transitioned over to being closer with Zero than they are with Pell at the front. Meanwhile, Vintage and Shinobi are going to be running very close together. I'm not sure who exactly triggered the yellow flag, but it looks like Shinobi, as they are looking quite wobbly, and it doesn't look like they are most in control. 35 seconds now, when it was just 20 odd before. And now Magic Blood could be on the chance for sneaking a surprise P4 here. They're going to peek around to the inside. They're going to commit to it through the first corner. Very nicely done from the McLaren. Both of them having a little bit of a wobble on that rear axle. And, oh, contact being made. That is contact. That is a piece of Kick Sauber bodywork being flung into the distance, as Shinobi is going to have to take a detour around the outside.
Yeah, I think maybe that the yellow flag was Shinobi, because surely look at how much time he's lost. I think he was almost in a no man's land in his own race when he really earlier we saw, but now that is going to be an interesting fight between the two. Pearl 11 still taking it 6.2 seconds and to Akor, and I think Akor now pretty much the pressure of not only losing the win, but I think the pressure of losing P2 must have gotten to him, and that would be the reason, and this could be the end of Pearl 11, but that is front wing damage for him. How lucky was he to really keep the car in place, but he's got no front wing. He's only got few corners to finish the race out there, but he's going to go very wide already. That was a vital accident, and as we said at the start of the race, there's always an opportunity for your championship, and that could well be music to Zero's ears. But I think definitely that we see some rain. We don't see that. I don't think the track is really wet, but maybe that is getting to those drivers, as Magic Blood now really close to Shinobi as well, and now Shinobi sliding out there as well. Back to Akor. That would be a huge slide to the rear end for him as well. I think Zero still 4.2 seconds, but Akor brings the gap back to 1.2 seconds. And I think now Pearl 11 is going to do really everything to just get the car to back to the finish line and to really get to the victory now. He surely led from start to finish. There was a fight for the win. Akor really holding on, and that 10-second penalty adds to Pearl 11's and Akor's time. So it is going to be Zero, the man who comes home to win the Brazilian Grand Prix. And really that soft tire strategy has worked in his favor completely, as Shinobi has the spin just ahead of Magic Blood. And definitely that rain is getting to these drivers now.
That last-minute rain changed absolutely everything. I'm not sure if it affected Pell, but there you go. DRS disabled on the final lap. It is too wet now for dry running, and the drivers are acutely aware of this, as they're barely able to keep the cars in control. I think if Pell hadn't crashed out there, they could have still taken the win, because they were teetering on that 10-second gap. It was 6 seconds and then around 4 between Akor and Zero, respectively. So if Pell had a good final lap, they could have still taken at least P2. But there you go, Magic Blood taking P4, with Shinobi just a little bit further behind, recovering from a spin, and of course a bit of contact between themselves and the McLaren to take 5th. Silent Rogue eventually going to be making their way round with McCarry in tow, about 2.5 seconds behind. Vintage Control going to pass the finish line a lap earlier, but is going to be in 8th place as the last two are going to make their way. But Zero take a bow, because while they didn't have the strongest of race pace, it all came back to them. They got handed a golden opportunity, and they stuck to their own race. They marched to their own drum, and it worked out for them.
Really, as they say that even if it is easy, at the end of the day, you have to do it. And Zero really did it today and took the opportunity that he got. And sure, these are the opportunities that make you world champion. That make you the champion of the season. Still got one more race to go, but Shorey takes maximum points from this race, 26, with the fastest lap point going to him as well.
And you can see the points are now going to seriously change with those 8 points difference keeping 0 in the fight. It's going to be 23 points when we come to the next round of the standings. But again, 0, Pel 11, Acor, Magic Blood, Shinobi, Rogue, Bakari, and Vintage Control. Make your finishing 8. And then Magi and Win, unfortunately, retiring out during the race and is going to be seeing themselves out of that contention for those crucial points here tonight. We will, of course, see the things that these drivers can do on the final round and how things have shaken up in terms of the standings. As a reminder, these are the standings as of the previous round, and you can sort of speculate for yourselves as to how this is going to then affect them here. So Pel is going to be in second, so is going to get a decent haul of points, but they are still going to have to fight, as 0, with that top spot finish, is going to keep themselves in that fight for themselves. Shinobi is going to get themselves a few points as well, going to keep them in a good position here with Magic Blood just behind, and the points gap still being close enough to put down a real fight. So DMAG, being a 9th position finisher and retiree, did see them unfortunately bow out of any chance for points, but here's the rest of the standings. Of course, we'll see Vintage is going to get a couple of points, to be fair. They did make it to the end, and they are going to get some points. Not enough for a position, per se, but they will get enough to fight. And then Acor, coming in late, but is going to be slingshotting themselves easily up into the top 10 with a solid finish of their own. That P3 finish is going to be enough to put them very close to DMAG's points total and potentially fighting for P8, P7, or even beyond, as the gap with P5 down to P8 is just 8 points. There could be some major change-ups in this championship, but we have, of course, got plenty of interviewees to talk to. We have got plenty of drivers, and I think it's only fair that we get them all chatting. So, unfortunately, we can't move them still. We can't move them into the broadcast channel, so I think we're gonna jump down into there, and then we're just going to ask the drivers in turn what they thought of the race and their experience.
He was 10.2 seconds behind me at one point.
Yeah,
Hello,
I was
everyone.
shielding on the last lap.
Hello, everybody. So we can't move everyone into the broadcasting channel, so we are going to conduct the interviews in here. We're just going to ask for names one by one, ask you a couple of questions, and then we'll rotate round. Okay, all happy with that? So,
Yep.
Yeah.
we are going to start with talking to our race winner. So, 0, well done on tonight. How are you feeling about tonight's race?
I did a lot of mistakes. I had bad pace, but still got the win. So yeah, it's kind of a reverse Singapore. So yeah, I'm happy.
Reverse Singapore. Oh, that's one way to put it. I mean, what were your expectations heading into this weekend in particular? Like, did you have a set plan for where you wanted to end up, or was it more of a see what happens?
I wanted to be top 3. I thought I was gonna get 2nd place, but yeah, the race was a little bit weird. Qualifying, I was nowhere near pole, so but yeah, I'm still happy.
Alright, and of course, was there a particular moment where you thought that maybe you could win the race tonight? Because you were running in, I believe it was P3 for a good majority of the race. Was there a particular moment where you realised that you had a shot at winning?
I thought I was gonna win all the time except when I spun in the first stint. Because I lost like probably 5 seconds or something when I spun. But yeah, otherwise I thought that it was gonna be tight, but that I could make it, and it also helped a lot that I knew they had 10-second penalties, because I could just go quite confident, like a low tempo.
Oh, there's a solid performance out there, and I'm sure, say now you got that win, that does mathematically keep you in the championship to the final round, which is exciting. Zabi, any questions from you?
Nothing much, but how about that? How hard did it got towards the rain, as you saw many drivers making mistakes towards the end? Were the soft tires good enough for a few more laps if there were?
No, I would not be able to do one more lap than that. I was going like 4th gear most part of the last lap, just trying to survive. I nearly spun twice. So yeah.
Oh,
maybe should have done the last stint on the mediums, but yeah, otherwise I'm happy.
well, made it work, and quite an impressive run, I have to say. So well done, Zero, on taking the win, and that does move us on to Pell. So Pell, talk to us. Can you hear us in the call here?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
All right. Give us a sort of play-by-play of your race today, because of course you were front-running for a majority of it, and then I think a couple of mistakes came in that unfortunately denied you the win today.
Yeah, so we were 1-2 with Akahor, and I wanted to pull away from Zero, but I think we were battling too hard. So Zero went into DRS a couple of times, so that was pretty bad. Then he made a mistake, so I thought we could have a really good shot at the win. So we pitted, and we both outbraked ourselves and got penalties. Then I didn't think I was gonna win, so I just kept pushing. I saw that Zero, when he came out, was 9 seconds behind me, or 8 seconds. So I was just trying to chip away at that time, and by the end I was above 10 seconds ahead of him, but yeah, the rain got to me and I hit the wall and got wing damage, so.
But still, you were fighting for a good chunk of it, and so there was a lot of back and forth between you and Ekor. That must have been quite exciting, though, to have that proper sort of back and forth lap on lap, or was it more of a frustrating experience?
Yeah, it was fun, but I was not really happy that we were fighting. We could have gained a lot of time on Zero, but yeah, I enjoyed the battle, and hopefully we can get some more battles in Austin.
And of course, speaking of Austin, final round, with the current things as they stand, this does mean that Zero is still mathematically in with a chance of taking the championship or sweeping it. It'll be a 23-point gap heading into the final round. So how are you feeling about your championship efforts? Of course, being from the dominant position, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna win the championship because I don't think I will like, unless I DNF, I don't think I'm getting like 9th place or something. So I'm pretty confident that I will win it, and but we will see though.
Of course, we will see. Zabi, any questions from you before we move on?
So just take me through that mistake you made on the last lap. Obviously, quite unfortunate you damaged your wing, but was there any pressure from Akura running just behind you? Surely he could have taken the position as well if you really almost ended that race for yourself.
Yeah, I honestly didn't think I was gonna get P2, but I just stuck it out and on the straight used all my ERS, managed to get P2, but I'm not happy with this result, so yeah, I will be trying to do last to first in Austin for fun.
Of course, see where that goes. But looking forward to it nonetheless. And well done on today for still sort of making a good position out of it. That's going to move us to our final podium sitter. Edgar, can you hear us in the call here?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Lovely. Well, good job on today's race. As you came to you've come to the championship. You made a great impression previous round, and now in this round you continue to impress. So how are you feeling heading into Interlagos tonight?
I was a little bit worried because this is definitely not my favorite track and also my fastest track. So I was definitely worried about Paul and Zero and also Magic a little bit because it was I was not that fast at the morning in practice, but it worked out at the end, so I'm pretty good.
Oh, let's say it was a solid showing out there today. Your, of course, main action on the track, it was the battling with Pell. Now, Pell described from their perspective about how they were trying to get a bit of a gap on Zero and how you two were fighting. What was your perspective on that sort of continued battle? Because you were trading positions for, I want to say, about 10 laps.
Yeah, we were trading positions like every lap, like once or twice even. But I think we just didn't communicate that well because I didn't get the message to pull away from Zero, try to pull away from Zero and trade DRSs. Because he was using the ERS when I got DRS, and I was using the same strategy too. So it was a fair thing, he said, because we would have been much more in a lucky position if we pulled away from Zero and maybe could even fight for the win. But I just didn't get the message to try to pull away from Zero. So I think it's a bit on both of our sides. So, and that's, I think, the main reason why Zero got so far ahead of us.
Yeah, and of course there was the instance where you were both fighting to the point you got to the pit lane, and that 10-second penalty, that must have been brutal. What was going through your mind when you got that penalty?
Yeah, I thought I made it, but I was 2 kilometers over the speed limit. I was seeing Pal braking, and I braked at the same point. That was the mistake I made. Of course, I overtook him in the pit, but that 10-second penalty didn't help at all.
Yeah, and of course you two went on vastly different strategies. So you went onto the softs while Pell went onto the hards from that point. Now, was there a particular reason behind going for the softs? Or was it just that's the tyre that you landed on?
No, I messed up the strategy, to be honest, because I wanted to start on the mediums, but I didn't really use everything of the mediums. I went on the softs too early, and at the end of the race, it was gone. I couldn't really take the corners that fast, and I couldn't really go that fast out of the corner. So it was definitely a strategy mistake from me. But at the start of the race, I thought the rain is going to be much more quicker to come in the race. So I made a choice to try to get ahead of Pell at the second stint, and then go into the inters for the third stint in the wet. So that was definitely my train of thoughts, but it didn't work out at the end, unfortunately.
Yeah, because we had rain at the final lap, but that was far too late by that point to make a meaningful difference. But still, sort of commend the effort because you did experiment. It didn't work out this time, but how are you feeling heading into Kota? Of course, a great couple of races you've had, and now heading into Kota for the final round in a couple of weeks' time. How do you feel about that track?
It's definitely not that bad of a track. I'm not that great, but not the worst of my track. But I'll definitely need some practice, a lot, because at Brazil here I practiced a lot, but I didn't really feel confident. And Kota is a very tricky track. I think you can't really see the first corner because it's going uphill, and the S's are really like difficult to navigate with a lot of fuel. And I think it's a great racing league. There's not really that much dirty drivers, and I think it will be a fun race again at Kota. I can't really change the championship because I only raced at 2 races, but I will try my best to at least get on the podium.
And we look forward to it. Anything from you, Zabi?
Not much.
There you go. Great stuff. And we're looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table at Kota. That is going to leave us to move on. And I believe next on our order is going to be Magic. So how can you hear us over there, Magic?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Brilliant. Well, great run out there today. Of course, you were sort of in the heat of the battle at the mid-pack. Particularly, you were trading blows with Shinobi towards the end there. Now, describe the race from your perspective. How did you find it out there in Brazil tonight?
I'll be honest, I think the race, in my eyes, I think it went really well. I think this was the best result I've had this season. P4, good points for the team. 12 points, definitely what we need. 12, 10, I don't know, I've lost count where I was. Honestly, I think what was important for this one was the consistency, to keep a good consistent pace. And really just try and not make any mistakes, because like every mistake is, more and more time added on. The bit at the Shinobi at near the end, the incident, I think that was to do with both the intensity of that position, because that position get right on the edge of the podium places, that will have a lot of pressure on it because it's good points. Plus, I think me and Shinobi are actually close in the championship. He's definitely ahead of me by a way, but there is a bit of pressure for that position. I think it was mainly a racing incident and to do with the weather starting to pour it down, really. But I think overall the race went really well.
Yeah, you certainly showed yourself very well out on the course today. So I have actually got the points here. I can see that Shinobi, as of the last round, was sat on 65 points, and then you were just behind with 56. So there is a potential on the cards to have you in the podium for the final championship standings come the end of Kota. How realistic do you see that as a possibility?
Ooh, it is Austin, and Austin is definitely a track that I have a bit of mixed bag about it, because it has got some good races under its belt, had some good races, good overtakes, and I think with the fact that it's going to be the final race of the season, if I'm right, I think it is.
Yep.
Make it really interesting, but also it's going to heighten the pressure because it's third place and the championship on the line. So it's going to basically be every overtake, every mistake, everything in that race will be important, really. So really hope that me and Shinobi both have a very clean race, and also just put in every bit of effort we both can.
Amen to that. Fight hard, race well. And that's going to be quite an exciting thing to see when we get trackside with Kota in a couple weeks. Anything from you, Zabi? Any questions?
Not much.
Alrighty. Well, that just leaves a couple more drivers. But of course, thank you, Magic, and looking forward to seeing what Kota brings for you.
Thank you. Now I'm off for dinner. Bye-bye.
Brilliant. Well, there you go. There's just a couple more drivers left to interview now. We've got, I believe, McCarry, aka Max Verstappen, we've got in the VC here. How can you hear us, my friend?
Oh, good and well.
Lovely, lovely. So, how was your race from your perspective? How are you feeling about today?
It was tough, especially with qualifying. The first lap, I'll span it. If I touch on the grass and spinning, confidence went down. Started on the hards to try and go long, protect the tyres. Then had an incident with Silent. Lost a bit of the ring and then just lovely by there.
Oh, you did pick it up again though. So you had some moments where you were pushing hard and racing well, and I mean, particularly, I believe you were on a medium stint for quite a long time in the race there. So was there a particular attitude when it came to your strategy tonight, or was it more of a sort of take the challenges as they come? Because I also believe you were the first one to change tyres.
The strategy for me was supposed to go long on the hards, then go see what happens with the rain or whatever, but I had to change up midway through due to ring change. Medium was the best choice. I'll go longer, felt comfortable, just went with it.
Yeah, fair enough. Can't argue with that. And of course, to say you did have sort of your own space at points to where you were able to push, sort of unencumbered. But yeah, you really did go long on those mediums. Now, the rain started to come in on the final lap, so probably a bit late to make a meaningful difference. But how are those mediums feeling by the end? Because they must have been really stretched.
They felt like very fine until the rain. That there were some sliding moments, but it honestly felt fantastic to drive.
Oh, fair enough. Well, that does sort of bring us out to Kota, and with that final round, what are your opinions on it as a track?
I like it, but for the racing, driving on it is in between, because if it's night race, like, it's alright with the sun in your eyes, are not the greatest. It's just an average track.
Fair enough. Well, that sort of rounds off the questions for me. Of course, I'm looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table out in Kota. Zabi, anything from you?
So we saw you take those mediums so long. Like, you think that was a better idea until the rain, or that you could have done a better job by pitting early or going for a better strategy, or you think that was the best option that you had at that point?
I honestly would, my thinking, and also team's thinking, best strategy yet, due to the crash and going long. It wasn't ideal due to the rain, but we had to do something.
Yeah, had to try something, and that's where we change it up and see what works, and we're experimenting with it a little bit. Like I say, did very well in that, and gotta say, I'm looking forward to Kota. Everyone's opinions seem to be sort of across the board, anything from very much excited for it to last to first to we'll just see. But I'll say, with that kind of experimenting and what you did manage to do with that strategy in particular, in light of that, I'm looking forward to the race next time out. So thank you again, Max, I should say. And we'll see you out in Kota.
Thanks, see you next week.
And that's where we're going to wrap things, folks. So we're going to jump quickly back up to the broadcasting channel for final thoughts, and then we will sort of round things off. So this is where we, of course, take a look at where we stand heading into the final race of the calendar. Of course, in 2 weeks' time, folks, we will have Kota, and we will have ourselves a bombastic finale. The championship does still hang in the balance, so we do have plenty of opportunity on the table, not only for P1, but for the rest of the championship podium. You heard from Magic. There is a possibility on the table to get P3, and this is where those kind of battles really come to fruition. Can't quite hear Zabi. I think we might have lost him to a bit of a connection issue.
Oh, no, man.
But how are you feeling about the final round?
Absolutely. I mean, looking at this race, the fight, especially between the top two, that really excited a lot. Not only the championship, but I think just looking at the race itself, it should be a fantastic one. I think it really looking at this, also not only the top two, but the rest of the field really pushing there a lot as well, especially that battle between Shinobi and Magic Blood out there. And that shows that you really have to drive with consistency and consistent pace, not make many mistakes to even finish in the position you're driving in. That doesn't certainly mean that you're going to win every race, but sure, to even keep a position and finish out there, it really needs your consistency as well.
Yep, and your preview, of course, for the track that we have to look forward to, the 5.5-kilometer roller coaster, that is Kota. That first sector in particular, you have to get absolutely perfect if you want a good quali lap and if you want a good race. You're going to have a lot of overtaking opportunities, plenty of fighting up and down the course, but this is where, for now, folks, we say goodbye. So thank you again very much for watching. Thank you for joining us throughout this season, and from both of us here at JP Broadcasting, we look forward to seeing you for the finale round out in the United States Grand Prix. Take care and goodbye.